Well, hey Yardners, it's Destry. Welcome back to my Oregon yard. It is a chilly fall day. It's about 9 a.m. and I am going to get after it today. We are going to be digging up some plants to try to overwinter them in the greenhouse. We are going to be cutting back perennials and just doing a lot of like fall cleanup in my Oregon yard today. So yeah, I'm going to give you some tips on some plants that you can try to overwinter, whether it's in your garage or a shed or just someplace that doesn't get freezing temperatures. I'm going to show you what perennials to cut back this time of year in my Zone 8B garden, and I hope that you stick around and check out this video. So today is an absolute beautiful fall day. Like the sun is out, it's chilly, but it's also dry. And it's the perfect day to get after some of these tasks that I need to get after. So in the past couple weeks, I've been moving a lot of my pots and plants into the greenhouse to try to overwinter them. Now, my husband and I also winterize our greenhouse, and we have a heater in there. So the heater is set up on a thermostat, so it turns on at about 50 to 52 degrees. And then in about, well, whenever we have time, but another week or so, my husband and I will actually winterize the greenhouse. I'm gonna drop a video in the description of this video of us wintering our greenhouse last year if you wanna check that out. But we do insulate it and tarp it. So I have this perfect setup to overwinter plants. And it's very cost effective, right? So if you can try to overwinter some of your plants, it makes for, you know, saving some money in your garden. There are some plants that you can overwinter or try to overwinter and some that you can't. So basically any plants that are true true annuals. So meaning that they grow, they bloom, and they set seed. Those are the type of plants that you can't overwinter. So things like sunflowers, marigolds, zinnias, those are plants that they're kind of a one season and done. Now those type of plants you can collect seed from, or if they're a rhizome, you can dig them up and divide them after the season. But then there are some plants that you can try to overwinter. And so I'm going to take you through a few plants that I'm going to try to overwinter today. The other thing I'm going to be working on today, you guys, that's really important is to cut back some perennials in my garden. So things like hostas, things like Shasta daisies, are another one. Things that can harbor over either like disease, like powdery mildew or insects. It's really important to cut all that down to the ground. Peonies is another one I'm going to be cutting back today. You need to cut those down to the ground. The plants are done for this season, and that way that foliage doesn't hang around and become problematic and just another place for like slugs and snails, especially for us what's really wet here in Oregon. It's time to cut that stuff back. So I'm going to take you through the garden today of a few areas I'm going to be working on to try to do a few of these fall tasks. Well, we're just going to start here. This is an elephant ear plant, and I overwintered this in my garage last year. Now, my garage is somewhat insulated, but it's, it's warmer. The pot is so big, I really didn't have room for it in my greenhouse. This year, I'm probably going to either make room for it in my shed or in my garage. So today, my plan is to cut back this foliage and clean out the pot and get it moved someplace a little bit warmer. Now this bed is looking pretty good right now. I know the coleus will, we have not had a hard frost, so the coleus will die back. But a couple of the things I'm going to be cutting back today. I'm going to be cutting back this guy. Now he rebounded and came back this last year. I believe this is a lantana, correct me if I'm wrong. But it came back from last year. So I'm just going to clip it back and hopefully it will return for me. My ferns actually do pretty good in this bed, so I'm going to leave those up. But I am going to take this guy back. So this is my hibiscus. And again, it's done for the season, and this blooms on new wood. So each year it will send out these stalks and bloom. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that one back. This guy here, I'm a little late by getting him in the greenhouse. I kind of forgot about it. This is a clematis that I'm going to go ahead and pop in the greenhouse and overwinter it in there. And then in this bed, I'm just going to do maybe a little bit of cleanup here and there. Look at this, you guys. Look at that sweet little guy all blooming out. I did cut back one hosta here already, so you can see that. I can't believe these are still going and they're looking beautiful. I'm not sure if those are going to make it or not. The fuchsias, I might end up cutting back depending on how, if we get a hard freeze. I'm going to cut back this hosta. And then over here, you can see I have a couple more hostas that are done for the season. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. See all this mold and mildew? Like, I don't want to leave that, all that foliage in the ground. So this whole bed here really needs a lot of work. Milo and Max are out here playing. So I am going to be digging and storing the tubers of my dahlias. I don't know if I'll get to that today, but I do need to get in here and cut back both the Shasta daisy and the peonies. So again, you can see they're absolutely done. So I need to cut a lot of this stuff back in this bed. I'm still getting a couple dahlia blooms though, surprisingly enough. And yeah, I just need to get in here and cut all this back. These marigolds, I'm going to just be pulling those out by the root. Again, I'm hoping some of them dropped seed and I might get some volunteers next year, but this is not anything that will come back for me. So yeah, I just have a lot to do in this whole garden bed here. I also am going to trim back my hydrangea. I don't like the way the blooms look in the winter. They just get really moldy and soggy. So I'm going to give that a good haircut and trim that back and probably just defoliate it and get all those leaves off of there as well. Again, another peonies I need to cut back. So you can see this whole garden bed just really needs some attention, like basically from here all the way down. So I'm going to start on one end and work my way down and see how much I can get done today. I'm going to set up my camera and kind of take you along for that ride. And again, if you have any questions in the comments, leave me some questions about like, what should I cut back? What shouldn't I cut back? I am going to be cutting back these dahlias today, but I'm not going to be digging the tubers quite yet. I just don't have I don't have that project on my to-do list quite yet, but I will be digging up the tubers at some point and trying to save those. So I'm going to start on one end, like I said, and just kind of get after this, clean up these beds, and let's see how far we get on this part of the garden today. A couple tools I'm going to be using today. Of course, I've got my clippers. I would highly recommend a pair of gloves that have fleece lined, so they're warmer, but then they are also coated in rubber, so they are waterproof. These ones are from Think Green. I believe I just got them on Amazon. Highly recommend these because they keep your hands a little bit warmer than regular just, rubber lined gloves or rubber coated because they have the fleece lining. And then the other thing I'm going to be using today, guys, is just my pop-up bag. So I've got one of these pop-up bags and it has a hard bottom. I'm trying to hold it up. It has a hard bottom. So I have purchased other pop-up bags without the hard bottom and they just don't last as long. The bottoms just tear and wear out. So highly recommend the ones with the hard bottom. All right, I've got my clippers. I'm heading over to these beds and I'm just gonna get after it today. Let's get going. All right, guys, well, I've been at it for a little while, so let me show you what I was able to get done in this garden bed. You can see I have a big pile I'm still gonna need to deal with. That's everything besides my pop-up bag that I took out. So you can see I cut the hydrangea back. I have a second hydrangea here that I just kind of deadheaded. And then here in the front, I have 3 dahlias. 2 of them come back every year without fail. So those are going to stay in the ground, but I'm going to leave these markers so that I know where they're at, because in a few weeks here, those will probably die back all the way, and I'll be able to, I could actually cut them back a little further, but I'll be able to defoliate those. This one will not survive, I don't think, here. So I'm going to be digging that one up when I do my dahlias. And then back here, I've got this one patch of Shasta daisies, and I think I'm going to dig these up and move them. They're not doing well here. I've got another little hydrangea here, and then these are a peony. So again, I'm going to leave that cage there just for winter interest, and I cut it all the way back. I have a salvia that's still blooming, so I went ahead and left it. This one reseeded from last year, so I'm going to let it do its thing, and hopefully it will reseed again. And then, let's see, over here, I've got another peony here that I cut way back, and I got these cages for them, and they're kind of problematic. Like, they always pop out, but I need to straighten that, but I'm going to leave that cage there. And then here I have a dahlia that I will be digging the tuber. I will be digging this tuber. So I marked those with those little cages there just to remind me. And then I have some hollyhock back here that didn't do anything this year. I cut that back. Again, this is another patch of Shasta daisies. I cut that way back. That one does okay. And then another peony here, which I'm going to leave the cage. Peony here, leave the cage, peony here, leave the cage. So I'm going to leave those there so that I remember, where they are and where they're going to come up. And then all of this is dahlia. So I've got a dahlia, here, there. These ones here, those kind of shaggy looking ones, are lupin. So I cut those back. There's a little lupin patch there. And then I've got 4 more dahlias here to dig. And yeah, so I have a lot of dahlias to dig. Actually, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a little dahlia back here too that didn't do much this year. I don't think it got enough sun. So I've got to dig all those. And then these ones in the front, these are a super bina. So I just cut those back, and they might come back. And that red one I have in the other garden bed is also a super bina. I think I misspoke earlier. And that one came back for me last year. So I'm just cutting them back. I'm going to see if they return, if they're kind of a tender perennial in my area. We'll see. I cut back the Shasta daisy patch there, the hosta here, and then the hosta here. So what I try to do, and I've said this in other videos, is I try to use some of my yard art stuff as kind of like markers. So I've got this little fun yard art butterfly, but I put it right at the base of that hosta because, again, I'm not going to remember. Well, I might, but just to mark it, like that is something. Don't dig and put something else there, Destry. That marks it for the winter and into the spring. And same with this guy. I just used my little dog here to kind of mark where that hosta is. These ones will overwinter and be just fine. And then I did cut back the angel wings. So I don't know, I've never grown it or overwintered it. So I don't know if that was the right thing to do. So more to come on that. I'll have to report back. And then I forgot that there's this tiny little fern back here that I popped in the ground. I think it was a little start that I found when we took down the kids' play structure. And so now it'll get a little bit more light, and I'm hoping it will do okay. So then moving into this bed, again, the fuchsias I'm going to leave for now. If they die back, I might trim them back, but I might not. And then I also forgot that I planted this little Japanese maple back here. I think I'm going to leave it here. We'll see. I don't want it to get too big, so I will have to size control it, but it's sure pretty right now. It's giving me some pretty fall interest and fall color. So, and I did rake the bed just to kind of, again, here where it's so wet, there's a lot of slugs and snails, and I don't want to overwinter those. So I just kind of raked everything back just a little bit. This bush here drops leaves this time of year, so it will be dropping a lot more. And this is my lilac bush. So anyway, it will be dropping more leaves, so I'm not that worried about it, but I did try to clean up the leaves. And you can see my yard debris is full, or my pop-up bag is full. The actual yard debris bin is also full, which I did not know, and my husband just told me, so that's kind of a bummer. And I did find 2 blooms. So I've got this gorgeous dahlia bloom, and look at this. I had 1 Shasta daisy over there. It's kind of a sad looking one, but I thought that was a nice little treat. And again, I've got this whole pile here that I'll have to find room for, and I might be able to shove it down in the yard debris or something. I'm not quite sure. So more to come on that. But check out my Japanese maple. My red vine maple is looking so pretty right now. It's so gorgeous. So I'm enjoying that. But this bed looks so much better. I'm so happy to have this done. This is the one, this is my biggest area. And obviously I'm not done. I still have to dig up all those dahlia tubers, but that's for another day. I feel really good about getting this done today. So I'm just gonna move on down the yard and see what I can get done in the other garden bed over there. So let's get going on that. All right, I don't think there's quite as much to do in this garden bed, at least I'm hoping not. But I'm just gonna take a look here. This Proven Winners Vermillionaire is so gorgeous. I'm gonna just leave it. I think I am gonna cut back the columbine though to the ground. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this back. Again, it's really pretty right now, and it's pretty like winter interest or fall interest, but since I'm out here and since I'm doing it, I'm just gonna cut this back to the ground. So columbine will come back, it reseeds, and I've noticed it's really spreading in this area, so I don't think it's one you want to plant unless you want it to spread, which I love. And then I do have some of these black-eyed Susans here, or Rebecca, I should say, and it is still blooming. I actually cut some blooms off it just the other day, so I'm gonna leave that up as well. Yep, I think I'm gonna leave this up. I think I'll cut it back probably in another week or 2, but let's see, there's a hosta, I already cut that back. Let's see, there's a Shasta daisy I'm gonna get in here and cut back. And then I need to cut back my other guy. What am I trying to say? My other thing. Let's get in here and do this one real quick. And I kind of, with the Shasta daisies, I kind of like defoliate around too. Pull some weeds as well. But I kind of like, I try to kind of defoliate them. And I think I'll get in this bed and rake as well. Here's another columbine. I'm just gonna trim that back. This is my Daphne. I definitely don't want to trim a Daphne, right? Because Daphnes bloom on old wood. So that one already has blooms for next year. This is a shrub I planted here, and it's really in a bad spot. I should not have put it here. I'm gonna probably have to move it. Here's another columbine, so I'm gonna whack that back. And the fern I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna pull the weed. And let's see, I'll get in here and rake, and then I wanna get to my hibiscus. So I'm gonna cut my hibiscus way back because it is done. It had beautiful blooms this year. Get rid of that. And just tidy this bed a little bit. I'm just gonna rake it just a bit. And I'm not even gonna rake up the leaves. I'm just gonna kind of rake them towards the back of the bed. And then I am gonna cut this verbena back. So this is that verbena right here that I'm cutting back. And again, I don't know if it reseeded or just came back last year, but it came back. But I don't know if it came back from reseeding itself or from the mother plant. And I'm thinking it's from the mother plant because now that I'm in here looking at it. So I'm just gonna trim it back And it was so beautiful all season. I've got a hosta in here that I already trimmed back. Got another bulb. I think it's a lily in here. I planted some bulbs in here last fall, or maybe it was in the spring. I think it was in the spring. But yeah, this verbena really did well and came back. So yeah, and it kind of like carpets out. It's really pretty the way it kind of spreads. So, and it looks like it's re-rooted in a couple areas too. So that could be interesting. And next up, I'm going to cut back this elephant ear. Clean up the pot here. And then I think I'm going to overwinter it here in the garage, maybe in the shed. I did the garage last year and it did so well. Whatever I do, I'm going to pull it up if I can, move it myself. I'm going to pull it up to this patio today. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's messy. And the last thing I have to do over here is to cut back these raspberry canes. And I could probably do this in the spring, but I'm doing it, so I might as well. And these raspberries will push new growth next year anyway. So I don't think this is going to hurt anything to get rid of all this spent growth. In fact, I think it'll be beneficial. And I've done this every year with my raspberries and I've never had a problem. Now, I'm not a raspberry expert, so take my advice with a grain of salt, but I know there's different types of raspberries and blah, blah, blah. But again, here in the Pacific Northwest, it's so wet that anything that you leave, like any of this foliage in here, I'm going to clean this all out because I don't want to harbor slugs, snails, powdery mildew, any of that stuff. So the more airflow that I can get in this potted plant, the better. And it's gone to sleep anyway. It doesn't need all of this. So it's better for the plant to just get rid of it. All right, well, let's take a look at what I was able to get done over here. You can see I left the Vermillionaire, still looking so great. I left the Rebecca mostly. But yeah, I raked quite a bit. I trimmed back quite a bit. And, you know, some things are actually showing off a little bit more. Like that primrose that's getting ready to bloom, like my fern, my horsetail fern, is that the name of it? It's showing off. My ferns are still looking great. Look at that one. And then, of course, these ones back here. So they are doing so well. My black mondo grass is hanging out. And this one, though, I noticed, look at all the new growth is getting eaten. So I need to get in here and treat this because I've got buds in here, you guys. So I might actually go in and remove some of this old foliage. I'm going to do a little research first because I can't remember if I do that now or if I do it a little bit later. But look at this. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? This one got a little mud on it. I got to get the mud off of there, but isn't that pretty? So I'm so excited. Those are one of my favorite, you know, winter blooming plants. I also have a heucherella in here that's kind of buried, so I might end up moving that. And I did cut the coleus back. Who knows? Maybe it'll overwinter, but I don't think it will. But yeah, I've got those ones back there. Why can I not remember the name of them, you guys? I'll put it on the screen. I'm blanking right now and I'm tired. And then I did empty the bird feeder or bird bath. I'm going to clean it out and refill it a little bit. I tend to keep it not as full in the winter though, because it will freeze and crack, and I've lost several bird baths that way. So I also want to like be there for the birds, but I don't want to crack another one. And then my little boxwood topiaries are doing okay back here. I've noticed that behind here, I've got a little bit of dead branches back in here, so I'm a little concerned. I might get in there and trim some of those away. See, there's a few right there too, but not too bad. And then the Dusty Miller, you know, it'll do okay. I'll probably trim it back at some point. And then I always forget the name of this one, but it's an evergreen, and isn't it pretty? It's one of my favorites. I will try to find the name of this one for you as well. I've got two of those. I've got another one over here. And then my Daphne, which I'm excited to have that bloom at some point. There's the other one. Isn't it pretty? I love the leaf structure of it and just that blue color. So anyway, this bed's looking way better. And I did trim back the raspberries. I did do a little trimming on this Japanese maple. I'm just going to leave it outside for the winter and see how it does. My little basket here is looking phenomenal, as are these primroses. So pretty. And then I did in the shed, I put the elephant ear. Another thing I have here in the shed, you guys, is my my amaryllis bulbs. So I did not make a video about this. I will link one below about overwintering, or I'm sorry, putting amaryllis into dormancy. But several weeks back, I did cut them. I stopped watering them quite so much, and I put them in the shed here in a dark, you know, cool location. So I'm just going to try to overwinter my elephant ear in here. My amaryllis, I will pull back out of dormancy here in another month or so. And then these two evergreens, which are so gorgeous, which were hiding back there, I just pulled them out front here to really accentuate this area. I use these in my front display for like Christmas time, or at least I did last year, and they have over summered so well. They're just a little blue juniper spruce something. Forget the name of that too, but isn't it pretty in the red pot? So that's kind of for my Christmas display in my front entry, but for now I'm gonna pull them out here and just enjoy them in those red pots out from that landscape area a little bit. So there's one other area, the yard, the backyard, I would like to get cleaned up really fast. And then I'm hoping to have time to dig up and overwinter some plants. I'm running low on time, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to that project, but let me show you the one other area I'd like to get cleaned up real quick. All right, so I've got one more in-ground bed over here that I'd like to get tidied up a little bit and cut back. I do have a dahlia in a pot. I'm gonna try to overwinter this dahlia in a pot in my greenhouse. So that's one tuber that I don't have to dig, so that'll be nice. I've got just a variety of stuff, you guys. This is cat's pajama nepeta. I need to cut that back. I've got Shasta daisies in here I need to cut back, but check this one out. I forgot the name of it, you guys, but I got it this year and put it in the ground, and aren't the seed heads so cool on this? So again, if I clean some of this up, that can become more of a feature because I think it's gorgeous. This is a dahlia that I'll be digging the tuber, but I'm going to cut it back today. I do have some Russian sage here that's still looking pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to cut it back. Probably will. And then I have some chamomile that reseeded. And so again, I think I'm just going to cut it back. Hopefully it seeded itself again. This hydrangea is gorgeous and is giving me gorgeous fall color. But again, if I clean up around it a little bit, I think it'll pop that a little bit. And I also have some primroses in here that are trying to bloom, but again, they're kind of just buried and getting some slug damage. There's another one over here. So I might try to clean this up so you can see those and they can get a little bit more light. Another cat's pajama nepeta I'm going to cut back. Another dahlia I'm going to cut back. There's some cal lilies in here. I'm going to cut those back. Yeah, just clean this up. And another Shasta daisy. This is a black-eyed Susan Rebecca. I'm going to leave this one for now. It's still pushing blooms, and it is one that will bloom, you know, more in the cooler weather. So I think I might, there's another bloom. Sorry, I was not showing the right bloom here. So I might leave that. And then this lavender is like loving its life back here. So I'm going to leave that. So anyway, I'm just going to clean this bed up really fast, or what I hope will be really fast. And then that might be the last bed that I'm working on back here today. And then I'm going to move to the front yard and try to dig up some plants that I'm going to be overwintering. Also, real quick, I am going to be cutting back this clematis. I'm going to cut this back real hard and get rid of the stakes so it doesn't take up as much room. And then I'm going to store that in my greenhouse. So hopefully that'll come back next year for me too. All right, so here's this one all cleaned up. You can see I got to go grab, I think I'm going to grab the wheelbarrow and put some of this extra debris in there because I have this pile, I have another pile, and then I've got a big pile down there. So if I can fill the wheelbarrow, I might do that. But anyway, this is that dahlia that I'm going to try to overwinter. I might just put it in my shed. I might put it in my greenhouse. Anyway, here's the bed all done. And you can see I have more dahlias. Like there's one right here I need to dig. But see the pretty little primroses, and they're, hopefully I can give them a little bit more space. So there's a dahlia here that I'm gonna have to dig right there. And I do have them marked, which is yay me. Good for me. I left, of course, the hydrangea that's looking so pretty. Here's a couple more primroses that are trying, you know, but they just didn't have light and they didn't have airflow and they were just getting eaten. So I need to get some slug bait, but look how pretty those are. And then this is that calla lily. This is a dahlia I'm gonna dig. And then the scabiosa was up in here. And then here's the you know, you know what I'm trying to say, Shasta daisy patch. And then there's another primrose there. This is that little scabiosa here, or not scabiosa, I'm sorry, black-eyed Susan. And then this one, the Rebecca, and I'm going to leave that. And then the other lavender I'm going to leave. So anyway, it looks a lot better. I'm hoping now that those have some sun, that those little primroses will start to pop, because primroses like cooler weather and we're not getting freezing yet. And I know that they'll look really cute in the spring as well. So I'm really glad that I got this little bed done as well. Yay! Getting it all done today. Feels good. Whew. All right, guys. Well, I have been at it for quite a while out here. I've gotten so much done, but honestly, I did not get to everything. I still need to dig up and try to save some of my plants in the front, but honestly, I'm out of time in my garden today, so that's gonna have to be for my next video. So be sure to like, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that one, because I do have some really good plants in the front that I'm planning to overwinter, and I want to bring you along for that ride too. But for today, I was able to get all of my in-ground garden beds cleaned up here in the backyard. I was able to cut back a lot of perennials. I was able to get my dahlias ready to dig and store, which again, stay tuned for that video. That one will be coming soon. And I hope that you liked coming along on this journey with me today. And unfortunately, as usual, my eyes were bigger than my time and my energy of getting all things done, but I can always pick up my gardening tasks another day. So again, thanks for hanging out with me in my Oregon yard today. If you need me, I'll be doing some gardening. I appreciate you guys so much watching and commenting on my videos, and it just means the world to me. So thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful day and week in your own garden. I'll see you next time. Bye.